I'm Holly.
I'm Leslie.
And we would be dead. Hey, Leslie.
Hey, Holly.
Hey, Fiends. Well, I hope you all enjoyed our recap of one of the craziest movies I have ever seen to date.
Yeah. I forgot that I couldn't even write for that one.
I think it's called Jesus Christ Vampire Hunter. Is that the title?
Yeah,
I don't remember.
Jesus Christ Vampire Hunter.
Yeah, it was. I don't think we've ever seen anything that I've never. That and Thanksgiving 3.
Yes.
Are things that I sat through and could not believe I sat through them.
Right.
And Thanksgiving 3, I couldn't get my shit together, and
That's
you
right.
had to do it.
Yeah.
So one of us can always pay attention, while the other one is just like, I don't know. What is this?
I also remember when we first watched that movie that and maybe we talked about it in it, but we ate we had a cute little sushi dinner.
We did.
Yeah, right before.
Yep, we had sushi and we had wine, and
it was not the right mix of cocktails for that.
No, no, it was not. Oh, Lord. Well, anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed that. It was a crazy time. I'm glad we could share it with everyone. And Leslie and John were bringing their oldest son off to college.
Mm-hmm.
And I gave myself stress shingles.
Yeah.
So it was a good week.
Yes. Shit happens.
It does. Leslie was like, I'm not going to put that. And I was like, I'm going to talk about it. It's fine.
Yeah, I was like, I'll let you talk about that.
Yeah, this is the second time I've given myself stress shingles. It's really my thing now. So, and we have the same doctor, Leslie and I, and she was like, yeah, you're fine. Just cover it up. The only thing you can't do is be around a pregnant person.
That's me.
Yeah, the one kind of person I need to be around is a pregnant person. She couldn't be like, you got to stay away from children and grown men. And I'd be like, got to go to a hotel. Bye. But no, just stay away from Leslie. But we're back in business now. Everything is all good. So this week, we have a real doozy for you.
Ooh, good.
Yeah. And first and foremost, I'd like to shout out my dear friend and our loyal fiend, Kelly Cunningham, for not only suggesting this case, but also helping me with some research.
Okay.
I never have help. And it turns out it's really nice.
Oh, wow.
I know. I never have anybody find documents. If you send me court documents, I'm going to cover your suggested case.
There you go. Hear that, guys?
Yeah, that turns out that's how you get it done. If you want me to do the thing that you want me to do, you got to just send me stuff.
Yeah, not just the link. Let's get some.
Yeah, not just, hey, do this one, but oh, this is their case.
Yeah.
Then, I'm going to cover it.
A thesis, maybe.
Thesis?
Yeah.
Even just an article. I mean, this is why every other podcast has a team of assistants, isn't it?
Probably.
It's funny that.
Probably. But do you think we could really give up the reins?
Absolutely not.
I don't think so.
Oh, no, we couldn't give up the reins. But I could have somebody say hey, can you get me these documents, or can you pull every article you can find on? And then I wouldn't have to search for it.
I gotcha.
But no, we could never give up control of anything. No. We'd die first.
Yeah.
Okay. So anyway, today what we are talking about.
We would be dead.
We would be dead. Oh my God, that's how it would happen. Somebody's like, can I do that for you? We're like, death first. That would be how it happened. But this week, circling back, we are talking about the horrific murder of Shad Thyrion at the hands of his girlfriend, one Taylor Schabusiness.
I'm sorry.
Uh-huh.
What was that last name?
Schabusiness.
Schabusiness.
Yep. And I will probably be making horrible puns the whole episode, and I will do it without guilt. And here's why. That name isn't real. That is a made-up name, and it takes a very specific type of arrogance to legally change your name to something so ridiculous and expect to be taken seriously. So I'm not going to make light of a gruesome murder, never ever, or someone with issues that committed a horrible deed. But I am gonna make fun of a very ridiculous made up surname. So
Yeah.
sorry.
Can you imagine if like that was a last name that they gave like as her family crossed into America?
We can't pronounce that
Yeah,
one, so
just
your last name is Schabusiness.
Yeah. And if you could see Holly's hand, it looked like a magician was just giving out the name.
That's your name. That would make more sense to me
Yeah.
than going, I'm going to do this. I'm going to legally change my name to this.
Right.
Woo!
It's actually pronounced Schabusiness. Schabusiness.
Yeah.
Schabusiness.
Nope, it is Schabusiness. And somehow I hadn't heard of this insane and super gory case. So you guys were in for a gross one until my friend Kelly mentioned it on the beach one afternoon. So another good way to get me to cover your case is to like sit on the beach with me
There you go.
for a few hours and be as fun as Kelly.
It was a nice day.
It was a nice day. And all I can say, you guys, is that you're really in for the Schabusiness today. Oh, there we go.
John's gonna
add it. I know it's coming. And this seems as good a time as any to hit you all with today's trigger warning. This, all jokes aside, this is like as graphic as a case gets. I don't know. We have, aside from like Albert Fish, we don't have much more graphic Schabusiness than this one. I can't stop.
It's okay.
The violence is both sexual and physical. There is dismemberment and some pretty gnarly details that those of us with sensitive stomachs may want to avoid or put the sandwich down while you're listening. I will try to give you a fair, like, skip ahead warning if I can. But if you're, like, prepping an elaborate meal right now, maybe save this one for later.
Cool. So I have John on call in case I go into labor.
You're not bothered by cases like this. You'll be
true.
fine. It's not a home invasion.
I don't know how this one's going to feel.
That's true. That's true.
She might be like, I got to get out of here.
Well, if Leslie goes into spontaneous labor, you'll know it's a good one.
Yeah.
So that's the judge. And she could. You never know.
You never know.
We're getting there, man.
I'm in the zone
You
now.
are in the zone. All right. Well, anyway, everyone, you have been warned, including Leslie. One person, however, who could not opt out of all the gruesome details with this one is me. I read them all. They are plentiful because this is a modern case, which means you can see everything. While it is true that I am a lover of horror and true crime, body horror and what some people call torture porn is not my subgenre of choice. So as you can imagine, sometimes research leaves me a little green around the gills. And this week was a especially gross one. So I'm a little bit worse for the wear, I would say. Mm-hmm.
She's a very green.
I'm just like swamp monster green. Combine that with my stress shingles.
Yeah. Yep.
And I'm a real sight to behold.
Mm.
Leslie is glowing. She's perfect. She's a picture of maternal beauty. Leave her out of this. She's pregnant. We don't say these things about her. But I, on the other hand, have been looking for something to perk up my complexion just a little bit. Maybe put a little color back in my cheeks that isn't green.
Okay.
And sadly, nothing seems to be working. There's just one thing left that I haven't tried, and you're going to think I'm crazy.
Okay.
But bear with me.
Mm-hmm.
It is just one teeny drop of...
Pregnancy?
No.
No? It's not a little bit of tuppence?
Listen, it does make your skin and hair great, but
True.
I'm good.
You know what it is?
What is it? Please tell
have
me.
it in my prenatal vitamins.
Okay.
It's a little dose of validation, a hill worth dying on.
That's the one. That's what it is.
That's it.
It's in prenatal vitamins?
It is.
That's why they make your hair so good.
Yeah.
Oh my God, you guys. We really need some.
Don't take prenatal vitamins if you are not pregnant.
Don't do that. But the validation part, just apply that to all your problems and bam, they're solved.
Yeah.
Yeah. And here's the best part, Leslie. Our fiends can give us some of that sweet, sweet validation totally for free.
Fuck, how?
Fuck how, you must be asking yourself.
Yeah.
Well, I will tell you. Simply head on over to Spotify or Apple Podcasts and leave us a 5-star rating and or a friendly review. It really is the only way to move this podcast forward. Ratings and reviews equal attention, attention equals support, and support equals more and better content for you. But if you just cannot wait for more We Would Be Dead in your life, don't worry, you don't have to.
That's great, because sometimes I can't.
I know, it's hard to wait.
Mm-hmm.
You can support us over on Patreon. There it is. There, for just a few dollars a month, you will gain access to our entire catalog of 30-minute horror movies, much like the one you heard last week. You will also gain access to our special minisodes, our weekly after show, Host Mortem, which is available in both video and audio formats. Maybe you want to see our faces. Maybe you don't. Both are okay. You'll also get a special gift in the mail from us, giveaways, merch deals, an on-air toast dedicated just to you, and more. In all honesty, we are here thanks to our patrons, so come on over and be part of the We Would Be Dead family. And if all of that is a little too much for you, you can simply follow us on social media. We are at Would Be Dead Pod anywhere and everywhere you get your content. You can like our posts, share our posts, like and share our posts.
Ooh, like that.
Leave us a comment, post about your favorite episode, let us know when you're listening, tell a friend, tell a neighbor, tell that person you know that actually does love body horror. They'll probably be into this, right?
Yeah.
What's their name?
Oh, man, I feel like I know so many people that do.
Same.
All right. Rachel.
Then your friends and Rachel can become fiends and we can all hang out together.
That's nice.
Just like don't tell, Rachel's good, but don't tell the people who are like a little too into body horror. Maybe we just let them stay away.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even though we should probably write their names down just in case.
Just in case.
Just in case.
We'll have a little book.
Exactly. They can't come to the gatherings, but they can be in the little book.
Yeah. I mean, but I don't want to start like shunning people away either.
Feel you, but
this is hard. It's
really
complicated
hard. It's really hard.
Being so famous and popular.
It really is. Well, on that note, I think that's all I have in the way of announcements.
Okay.
That was a good one.
It was, yeah.
Leslie, do you have anything to add before we begin?
Well, I guess I could, no.
Oh.
No.
I want one of those to be when you go into labor.
Yeah.
I want you to be like, I gotta go!
I'm currently feeling contractions about 10 minutes apart. I'm gonna have to go now.
Okay. Not for real, you guys. It's okay.
Yeah. It's fine. I'm fine.
Well, all right then.
Yeah.
On with the show. A lot of stories we tell on this show begin with a set of nightmarish circumstances. I mean, that's kind of how you do true crime, right?
Sure.
But this one, if I didn't actually see the body cam footage and the interrogations and hear the 911 call and view evidence with my own eyes, evidence photos, sorry, I wasn't like there, I don't think I would believe it. This one is very outlandish. Let us begin. On February 22nd, 2022 was a cold and snowy day in Green Bay, Wisconsin. With a high of just 25 degrees and temperatures dipping down to 18 that evening, it was the kind of day where you just wanted to stay inside under the covers. Think about like a day that cold and snowy and just being all bundled up.
That feels so good right now.
It does, but like nobody gets to feel like that in this case.
No.
But for the workers at the Brown County, Wisconsin Public Safety Communications Center, that was not an option. 911 calls don't simply stop because it's cold or late at night. And so the overnight shift was at their post, most likely dreaming of home. So we are now at very late in the evening, bridging into early in the morning on February 23rd. Brown County is big, and Green Bay isn't a small town by any stretch of the imagination. So I assume the folks that work at this call center have heard their share of some shit. They're probably not surprised by a whole lot. It has to come with the territory, I assume. So they're pretty prepared for whatever this evening could throw at them. A little before 3 in the morning on what is now the 23rd, a call comes in. A man answers, and I'm pretty sure we keep 911 operators anonymous for good reasons. And even if we don't, this man doesn't need any more attention than he's already probably gotten, so we're not going to mention a name. He answers the phone with the standard greeting of, Brown County Public Safety, how may we help you? And it is met by a calm and collected man's voice. The voice is fatherly, almost. I imagine it is attached to a man over 40, and the gentleman tells public safety that he needs an officer to come to 829 Stony Brook, which is also normal, and he goes on, quote, my girlfriend just woke me up. She swears that she found her severed head of her son in the basement.
Ooh.
All right, I'm listening. I know that was not grammatically perfect, but that is the direct quotation. Totally unfazed, Good at his job, the 911 officer just asks the caller to repeat the address. He has the man spell out the street name, confirm that it is a house and not an apartment, and gets the gentleman's phone number. And the caller complies with all this information, adding, quote, "My name is Steve."
Okay.
Whoops. That would be useful, right? Got to get his name. He confirms that his name is Steve Hendricks and spells it out for the officer carefully. Totally calm and collected, all wits about him. The operator then asks, "Tell me what's happening again." You got to hear that one a second time.
One more time.
Yeah, okay. Calm down. What exactly is happening? So, before I get into all the meat of this call, I got to let you guys know that understandably, this call gets really unintelligible at times. So I chose to summarize and clarify parts of it for you guys and clean up all the blurry language because it makes it so much easier to understand. But if you would like to hear a recording of the entire call as it happened, it is out there and I will provide a link in the show notes and you can listen to it all. Cool. So let's jump back. Steve responds to the "what's happening" with, "I have no idea what's happening. I'm with my girl and she swears she found her son's severed head in the basement." Still unfazed, the operator replies, "Did you go down there?"
Yeah.
Did she just say it or do you know?
Yeah.
Steve says, "I went down there. I can't tell what the fuck is..." Pardon my language. I'm kind of freaked out. I like Steve at this point already. I'm like, oh my God, he said the F-bomb in this horrible circumstance and he apologized for it. Love you, Steve. And like, say all the fucks you want, dude. This is an unfathomable circumstance.
Right.
The operator responds, "Okay, did she wake up and say that?" Steve says, "Yeah." The operator says, "And whose head is it?" I feel like we have established whose head it is, as he said twice. It was her son's head. And the operator goes on to ask this question like 5 or 6 more times. But I feel like this is part of the 911 operator thing where they want to keep the person on the phone or they want to have them repeat things to see if they get any more out of it. But the operator does hang up before officers arrive. So I don't really know.
Like, I just got what I got.
Yeah. Steve then replies, "She's claiming it's her son." The operator says, "How old is her son?" Steve says, 24, 25. You know.
I don't know. I just fucked the bitch.
Oh, no. We love Steve.
Okay.
He apologized for saying fuck.
I know.
The operator says, "Not
That's
nice, Leslie."
Probably the harshest thing I've ever said on this show.
It really is the harshest thing you've ever said. Pregnancy makes you wild.
Sorry.
Even more wild than when we have martinis. I don't know. Now I want a martini. Anyway, the operator says, "Has he been missing?" And Steve tells the operator that no, her son was not missing. He was at their house yesterday, quote, "with some chick. Then all of a sudden, nobody's here," end quote. Steve goes on to tell him that this girl had come up from the basement several times to use the restroom. Then he says that Steve's girlfriend, so different person, the mom, has been calling and calling her son's cell phone to no answer. And now that the house is quiet, she's realizing that she can hear the phone ringing in the basement, which I don't like.
No.
That's
the call that's coming from inside the house.
Literally, yeah. The operator asks, "Okay, is she with you right now?" Meaning his girlfriend, the mom. Steve says, yes, she's upstairs. She's a little freaked out and I don't know what to do. Oh, Steve, nobody on earth would know what to do. You're in good company. It's fine. The operator says, "And you said you went down there, correct?" Steve says, "Yeah, and I lifted a towel, but I can't see very well, and I can't tell what the hell it is." And this is referring to the fact that the bucket was covered by a towel. So he had to like pull the towel up and look inside.
Okay.
The operator says, "So there's something in the bucket?" And then Steve replies with the single best line in the history of lines with, "There's something in the goddamn bucket." I'm with you, Steve. The operator says, "Okay," and then asks Steve if maybe his girlfriend could be hallucinating. And Steve confirms that there's something in that goddamn bucket. He tells the officer that his girlfriend's name is Tara Pakanich. He spells it out and then provides her date of birth and middle initial. Then the operator asks to speak to Tara, and Tara complies and gets on the phone. Tara is also very calm and collected. What it sounds like to me is that nobody really believes what they're seeing or hearing right now. It's just so shocking that they can't even react. They're just talking. That's what it sounds like to me. So like, we can't really be judgmental of anybody's reaction. It's just a bunch of shocked people poring over the same facts. Tara says, "Hello." The operator says, "Hi, Tara. So can you tell me what's going on?" She replies, pretty positive my son's head is in a bucket.
Oh, man.
I know. The operator says,
Ooh.
what makes you think that? Tara says, because I looked in the bucket.
And his head is in the bucket.
As a solid reasoning, man.
Yeah.
Inexplicably, the operator says, and what did you see? Tara says, exactly what I told you. At this point, I would be screaming at this person. So good for her for being like really chill about it. The operator, suddenly kind of presumptive, says, okay, well, where's the rest of the body at? Made a big leap. Tara replies, no idea. The operator asks, okay, when is the last time you saw your son? Tara then says that her son doesn't normally live with her, but she picked him up from his dad's house on Monday. At that point, it is early Wednesday morning. She says that after she picked him up on Monday, he spent a couple hours at her house before leaving with Taylor. And the operator jumps on this name right away, asking, who's that?
Mm-hmm.
Tara responds with a girl named Taylor Coronado, whom her son had gone to both middle and high school with. Moving the story along, the operator then asks, when's the last time you saw him? Which I feel like she just answered.
Yeah.
Tara responds that her son left with Taylor, and then they came back together. They came back to her house together. Taylor and her son went to sleep on Monday night in the basement of Tara's home, and then they spent the entire day on Tuesday locked up in the basement together. Tara says she assumed that they slept all day and into the night as neither of them ever emerged, but she wasn't in the house for the entire day, so she can't be sure. She then makes like a little comment about like, he's like 25. What the hell, man? But you know. She then says that at approximately 2 a.m., she heard a door close. She clarifies that it is a storm door in her basement. So the door probably makes a very specific sound. You can tell which one it is. And then she heard Taylor's minivan start up. So she went downstairs to check on things. She's like, oh, girl is leaving. I wonder if my son also left or what's going on, right? And it's 2:00 in the morning. So she goes down to the basement and she notices that the basement lights are on. So she looks around a little and doesn't see anyone there. So she uses the bathroom and then comes. She says she uses the downstairs bathroom, but there isn't like a toilet down there. So I think she like either goes back up or like, I don't know. It doesn't really matter, but this is like just kind of a weird thing. Then she decides to turn off the basement lights. Basically, she's like, I'm not going to leave them all on. Nobody's down there. And in doing so, she notices next to the steps, there is a 5-gallon bucket sitting there. And this bucket is not a bucket she put there. It's kind of out of place. And the bucket has a towel over it. And she gets annoyed. And she assumes that the two of them had been, quote, pissing in a bucket. So I don't know that this would be my first thought, but it doesn't not make sense.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Well, because especially if they hadn't come up
the
whole time. And as a parent who you're sometimes like, my child doesn't come out of their room for hours. You're just like, where are they peeing?
Yeah.
Like, did they make it that long?
And I guess that was her line of thinking, like, okay, they've been down there this whole time. They haven't come out. I guess the way that they stay down there is that they were peeing in a bucket. I mean, there is a shower down there, too. It's like a big stall shower and a drain in the floor. I don't know why they would have picked a bucket, but I mean, maybe these kids are weird. Who knows? So frustrated, Tara decides to look into the bucket and see what she has to clean up. And that's when she sees her son's severed head staring back up at her.
Man, she probably wished it was pee or poop in a bucket now.
Seriously, man. Then the operator asks what her son's name is, and she replies, Shad Thyrion. The operator asks his date of birth, and she replies 9797, like 9797, which is a fucking cool birthday.
Yeah.
Then the operator asks if she saw any blood, and Tara says no. The operator tells her to stay away from the scene. He says, I guess just stay away from it. Like, he's like, I don't know what to tell you. And they're both like, the bucket, we should stay away, or should we go look at it again? He's like, I think stay away from it. And that officers will be there momentarily. Tara says that she and Steve will go down. They're up in the bedroom at this point in time, and that they will go downstairs and wait by the side door by the driveway. Because there's a front door and then there's a door right by the driveway. And let the police in. She then tells the operator that her 16-year-old daughter is asleep in the house. and that she'd appreciate it if nobody made a lot of noise to wake her up.
Well,
I think that's just like this weird instinctual parent reflex where you're like, I don't want her to also be in the mix when this happens. So if we could just keep her asleep until you're done, that'd be great.
She's just really scary if she doesn't get her beauty sleep.
Yeah, right. Okay.
No, that makes sense though, because they probably just don't. Right. Because if it is nothing, or if it is something.
I mean, it is something. There's something in the goddamn bucket.
Yeah, but they are probably like, we just don't want to alarm her.
Yeah, yep. Okay, so the operator says, we'll do the best we can. I can't really make any promises, but I will forewarn the officers and we will try. It's the best anybody can do. And then the operator hangs up, which is also unusual. Usually they stay on the phone until authorities arrive in like crazy cases like this. Yeah. But I guess because it's not suspected that these people did anything, I don't know what to tell you. Anyway.
Well, and I'm sure that the operator was just like, I am annoying these people with my questions.
I gotta go, man. I can't ask them again what's in the bucket. That's too much.
This has not been the best night for me.
No. But also, like, we will all now have to notice that because it's 2 a.m. and people have been home for a little while, there were 3 whole people in this house.
Right.
While something insane was going on.
Yeah.
Huh, and nobody heard anything? Okay.
And it doesn't look like there's anything else. Like, it doesn't look like a head was severed, at least to this mother.
If you just make a pass of the basement, like you just walk down and take a look a little bit, no, it doesn't.
Okay.
And once they saw the head, though, I want to make this clear, both Steve and Tara were like, we're not going down there. We're not going further into the room. We don't know what happened.
Yeah.
And there's at one point, I think on one of the recordings, you can hear Steve being like, I'm not fucking going down there again, dude. I don't know what's there. And you know what? Me neither. I get that. You have no idea what happened.
But that's also for the best. Yeah. If it is a crime scene.
100% for the best.
Stay out. Yeah.
It's clear at this point that the 911 officer probably also thought that maybe this was a weird prank. Like, you can't really gauge it. There's not a lot of like, does he really believe them? Does he think that maybe this is like fake? There are parts of the call that I've clipped for time and because they're confusing. But at one point, he does ask Tara if maybe the head she saw could have been fake. He's like, is it like a fake head?
Yeah.
And she was like, it is not a fake head. And we remember that he asked Steve if Tara could have been hallucinating. So I don't know what people are assuming right now, but nobody can really get a hold on this situation. Now, as a mother, I don't even know how Tara is breathing. I imagine she's in such severe shock that she doesn't even want to believe it's real either.
Yeah.
So at 3:25 a.m., Officer Alex Wainish was summoned to the Brown County Department of Public Safety to respond to the aforementioned super weird 911 call. So he gets in his cruiser with his partner and drives to 829 Stony Brook Lane right away. Now, the house is a small 3-bed, 1.5-bath Cape Cod style home. Every single one of the listings on this house, you know how you can go to Zillow and see like when it was sold and stuff. I always do that. They all say 3-bed, 1-bath, but there is definitely also that shower stall in the basement. I don't know if they added more down there and it's just not in any information on the house. I don't see a picture of like a toilet down there. It's just a shower, but there you go. That's what I can tell you about the house. It is mustard yellow with burgundy shutters, and there is a light blanket of snow on the brown shingled roof that gets thicker on the lawn. The neighborhood was quiet and still, and Officer Wainish approached the side door, so right by the driveway, and knocked, where he was met by Tara and Steve, who look positively shell-shocked, obviously. Now, you can see the body cam footage of this whole entire event. I watched it. And there will be a link to it in the show notes if you would like to see it for yourself. A warning, there is some blood, but thankfully you do not see the head in the bucket.
Okay.
And nobody's lying. It is very clearly real. You see the moment where the officers go in the house, they walk down in the basement, they look in the bucket, and they're like, okay.
Yeah.
They poke around a little bit more in the basement. They kind of just take a cursory look, and they see more blood and bits of human flesh. And they know that what they are getting into is way above their pay grade. So they call for backup. These are like patrol officers.
Right.
It's kind of horrifying to me that these guys had to respond first to this scene. They're not homicide detectives. They're just like beat cops, and who were in the area and could swing by. Now, I know it's all part of the job, but goddamn, you know? So they're like, oh shit, this is all very real and we need more than us.
Yeah.
Also, during the trial, these police officers made it very clear that at this point, they don't know that there isn't like a murderer hiding in the house.
Yeah.
So
Ooh, so scary.
it's very scary. So they kind of put everything on pause and they're like, okay, when backup gets here, we'll do a sweep of the house and we'll keep moving.
Okay.
So before we move on, let's talk about the area in which we are situated in the world right now, right? If you weren't already wondering how anyone could get away with something like this outside of like, I don't know, a broken down shack deep, deep in the woods, you soon will be. And moving forward, this is useful information in my opinion. Now, normally this is the point in the show where I tell you about how small our setting is and how few people live there, but not this week. Yeah, Green Bay, Wisconsin is huge. Perhaps you recognize the name from the sports team.
Yes, the Green Bay Packers.
They play the football.
Oh, God.
Mm-hmm. I had no idea what a Packer was either. I assumed it was some kind of like reference to an animal or a wartime soldier, as most teams are. But no, it's a meat packer.
Yeah.
Because the team's founder worked for a meat packing company and they gave him the money for the uniforms.
Yep.
My husband also tells me that the G on their jersey is a meat hook. This is like a bad look for Wisconsin, who also produced some other scary murderers. So, yeah, they're the Green Bay Meat Packers, and they don't have a mascot, and their fans wear foam cheese wedges on their heads. So I don't think I'd fuck with them ever.
Don't do it.
Not going to do it.
No.
Not going to do it. Anywho, Green Bay is the county seat of Brown County, Wisconsin, and has been touted as one of the state's flagship cities. Green Bay is such a big Wisconsin deal that on Wikipedia, its list of notable people has to have its very own page. It's that many. As of the 2020 census, there are just over 107,000 residents of Green Bay, and the population is growing every day. Green Bay is a charming city by all accounts, but it's not without its drawbacks. It can be crowded. There's a skyrocketing methamphetamine problem, and some areas are expensive. You probably want me to go back to like the meth problem, right? Yeah. I thought so. It is important to note that in the past 3 years, Green Bay has seen a noticeable uptick in methamphetamine use, sale, and production. According to Officer Matthew Ronk of the Brown County Drug Task Force, quote, methamphetamine is becoming the greatest threat to the Brown County community. Guys, there's a lot of meth.
Yeah.
If you Google Green Bay meth problem, you get a ton of hits about a local celebrity meth dealer who goes only by the name Uncle Fester.
No.
Getting arrested. Yeah, that's how you know you're in meth deep, when your local meth celebrity is Uncle Fester.
Oof.
That's a lot. So sometimes it'd be weird in Wisconsin, you guys. But then again, we found that out when we talked about Jeffrey Dahmer, didn't we? Yeah, because he's a Wisconsin celebrity killer. Huh. Not that any killers should be celebrities, but you know what I mean. Very well known.
Yeah.
And I'll just set down that Act 1 gun right here for now.
Okay.
Let's leave Jeffrey Dahmer right there.
So scary.
Yep. So, like most big cities, Green Bay is also divided into its downtown area and a bunch of little neighborhoods. The neighborhoods in Green Bay come in many different styles. There's some with like historic row homes. There's some with like big McMansions. But the one we're talking about today, Fireman's Park specifically, is an insulated little collection of tree-lined streets. Each one is packed with neatly spaced single-family homes. It looks like a suburb living inside a city. The Fireman's Park neighborhood is so called because it's situated around, you guessed it, Fireman's Park.
Nice.
Yes. The neighborhood's borders are defined by main roads, but the interior of it is just small streets. So there's no main thoroughfares. Once you get into it, it's only little streets that go from like, you have to go all around them to get back out. So it is pretty insulated from the rest of the big city. It does really do a good job creating the illusion of a small town. But be that as it may, its location does have pretty quick access to all of the city's like services. So nobody's getting trapped without power or say waiting 3 hours for the police to arrive when they find a head in their basement.
Gotcha.
Yep. Furthermore, it should be noted that the neighborhood is absolutely packed full of families. Picture like a sitcom style neighborhood. Like you can talk to your neighbor over the fence. That's what we're talking about. Okay. It's not remote.
Right.
So if you live there, you likely have neighbors on all sides. And that is very true of 829 Stony Brook Lane. They have each side and the back. So if anything crazy was happening, like it's very hard to believe no one would ever hear anything.
Yeah.
Or see anything when there's so many people around. Somehow they don't. And speaking of 829 Stony Brook Lane, let's get back to the matter at hand. Officer Waynish and his partner realize they have discovered something of a house of horrors, so as I said, they phone for backup and stay put. At this point, nobody knows where the rest of Shad is and where this girl named Taylor went, and if there is any other terrifying murderers hiding in the dark corners of the house, because there could have been more people they didn't see. They just don't know. Backup arrives soon, and a sweep is made of the house. All is clear. Nobody else in the home. At this point, detectives and several more officers and the medical examiner start to trickle in. So, people are coming en masse. After speaking to Tara and Steve yet again, and I'm assuming they didn't have to repeat that there was something in the goddamn bucket this time, they determined that this Taylor person needs to be brought in for, at the very least, questioning, as she is definitely the last person who saw him alive.
Mm-hmm.
So they set a team of patrol officers out to locate her. Meanwhile, down in the basement, things are pretty extreme. First, the contents of the goddamn bucket are examined because the medical examiner is there. He's the guy that can do this, right? As it turns out, there is, of course, a head in the bucket, but there is also a, quote, male organ, body tissue, fluids, and a bread knife encrusted in human tissue and blood.
Oh, boy.
So in case you are not familiar with what a bread knife is, it is long and serrated, like a little thin saw. So it has teeth, and in those teeth is just
lots of shit.
Gore, basically. Yeah, there's pictures of it all over the internet. It is really gross.
No shit, just lots of tissue organs.
Yep.
Organ tissues.
Mm-hmm. Same. Both of them. Organ tissue.
Tissues.
Yes. So they're like, well, I guess we should keep looking.
Yeah.
So the basement is actually a very big basement. It's divided into a couple sections too. So there's a finished section that has wood paneling and a carpet. And there's it's finished, but it doesn't look like a used room. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They don't go down there a lot, or maybe it is just kind of reserved for their 25-year-old son when he's there.
Yeah.
There's in the back of it against the wall, there are 2 box springs and a mattress stacked up, which is insidious looking at this point.
Yeah.
And there's also a bistro table and a couple bar stool type style things. There's some chairs, some old nightstands that are creating little side tables. On the bistro table is a tabletop Pac-Man arcade game.
Yeah.
And then
it's just a hangout.
It's a basement, right.
Yeah.
And then there's a bunch of random stuff that's kind of been stored back there. Clearly there's a baby that visits this house a lot because there's an exosaucer and diapers and clothing. Don't worry, nothing weird with the baby. It's just clearly they have.
It's just the baby comes to visit once in a while.
Yeah, that's what it seems like.
Stops in on their travels.
Yeah. It's like, hey guys, I'm out now. There's also luggage, some bags, some storage totes, and just discarded odds and ends. But this is a finished part of the basement. Then if you go to the other part, it's unfinished. It's just cement floor and shelving. And the shelving is boxes from Chewy.com and toilet paper, whatever you're going to store down there.
So they have an animal?
I think so. We never see it.
Okay.
Again, this house, I did not dig hard into Tara Pakanich because she doesn't really need that right now.
Yeah.
But it appears that there at one point was a dog, and there's definitely a baby as part of their life in some way. I don't know if it's a grandchild on Steve's side or if she babysits, but there's a lot of baby stuff in the house.
Okay.
I don't know where the baby is, but it's just what you can see when you look at these pictures. But no baby was put in any kind of danger, so don't worry.
Question.
Yeah.
Is anybody at this point concerned for Taylor's well-being in a sense of if there was a killer,
No.
maybe she's been kidnapped?
No.
Okay.
No, people pretty quickly assume that she did this.
Okay. She already has that kind of vibe or reputation of being something.
She does have a police record. We will get into it in a little bit.
Okay.
But I think it was also he went down here with her. We know for a fact that they stayed down here because her minivan was here the whole time.
Yeah.
Nobody left or came because there was always somebody at the house. People were home. It wasn't it was empty for long periods of time.
But it does seem to be a way to get into the basement.
There's a storm door, the double. So that's how they put it.
Right. Okay.
But clearly it's loud enough that they heard it.
Yeah.
And Steve did say that Taylor went up and came to the bathroom and shuffled around a little bit. He didn't see her, but he heard her.
Okay.
But they're relatively certain that it was just Taylor at this point. So there's also a stall shower down there. So in a part of the cement part, with the cement floor, there's the stall shower. But it's not a creepy one. It's maintained. There's a curtain on it and stuff to shower with and a squeegee. It's it's used. People use that one.
Well, maybe the baby cleans it.
Baby's down there cleaning
It's
shit
just
up.
a baby maid.
Yep. They have a baby maid. So cute. It's terrible, but it's so cute to think about. So anyway, the investigators, when they first get down there, they discover a large amount of blood and this is so gross, like slushy human tissue on the mattress and in the small spot of carpet that is between the mattress and the wall.
Ugh, slushy human tissue.
It's just like pulp.
Ugh.
It's gross. I know. They also find Shad's cell phone plugged in sitting on the bed. So that's why they could hear it ringing.
Is it Shad or Chad?
It's Shad with
Shad.
an SH.
Okay.
Shad Thyrion.
Just making sure.
Yes.
Okay.
They also see that there are smears of blood around, like on the walls, on the floor, on the light switch. They notice the shower drain is clogged with the same pulpy human tissue. And the squeegee in the shower is blood colored on the sponge part. And the drain in the cement floor in the basement also has collected blood and tissue. Yeah, like this crime, something really awful happened. And it looks like it's everywhere and nowhere all at once.
Yeah.
Undoubtedly, something bad happened in this basement. But where is the rest of Shad?
Right.
Right? You see, there's some of it, but like, where's the rest? Meanwhile, the Brown County Police Department has gotten an address for one, Tara calls her Taylor Coronado. They find that she is now formally and legally known as Taylor Schabusiness.
Right.
Did she marry a Schabusiness? Is that why she has that insane name? Just terrible luck? Yes and no.
Ooh, do explain.
Yeah, we'll come back to that. For now, the police know that she lives in an apartment on Eastman Avenue, not that far from where Shad Thyrion was killed. And she was driving a gold minivan. Police pull up to the apartment complex while it is still dark. There is also body cam footage of this. So they get out of their cruiser. They see the minivan. They go up to the minivan and they're like, is that blood? The officer specifically goes like, yo, am I tripping or is that blood? So they're younger and they're cool.
Yeah.
And the other officer said, yeah, it looks like blood in the snow. So there's footprints and then there's blood drops. So they're like, I think we're in the right place. And then you hear like rustling in a door and the officers are like not, they're scared at this point probably. They're like, what is that? Who made that sound?
Yeah.
And they're like, Taylor. And then Taylor like walks out on the porch. So she like knows.
Yeah.
So she comes out on the porch to her like apartment townhouse. It's like a townhouse style apartment situation. And she is wearing a dark sweatshirt and a black baseball cap with Schabusiness printed on the side of it in a big Gothic tattoo font.
Nice. So she's just branded.
She is very branded. And she's grinning like a Cheshire cat. Something she will do for the entire remainder of this story. I can't tell you why. Covering her mouth occasionally to giggle, but she does cooperate with the police. They notice right away that her clothes and hands are super bloody. She's like clearly just bloody.
Yeah.
And originally she says it's coming from herself. She's like, oh, I don't know what happened. And they're like, okay.
I just bleed sometimes.
Do you though? All right.
It's a female thing.
Comes out of everywhere on me. All right. They ask if anyone else is home. She says she has a roommate who is home, but he's not armed. And this guy did nothing. Yeah. This guy just sat in this townhouse.
He just lived there.
Hanging out and was like, I don't pay attention to her because she does some crazy shit and I don't want to know.
Yeah. Okay.
Fair enough, dude. You just need someone to share the rent with, I guess. And the police are like, yeah, this guy checks out. And they just leave him to his own devices, satisfied that he's not involved. The police then ask Taylor if she knows why they are there. And she responds, because of the warrant for my arrest. They're like, oh, that's interesting, because we don't have a warrant yet. Oh. But I guess there is one. The police then apprehend Taylor and make their way over to look in the minivan real quick, like give it a little flashlight look. Yeah. Inside, they see a bloody crock pot box, which can't be good.
Never good.
No, they make a note of this and they take Taylor in for questioning. So at this point, they do not have a search warrant. They can't just be busting into the minivan. And side note, minivan's not even hers. She borrowed it from her poor roommate that's just sitting there not wanting to be involved.
Oh, man. And now he has this gross crock pot box.
Yep.
That the other police are like, make a note. Let's have a Officer Bergen look
come
at
over here and look at that. Yeah. And he like probably doesn't get his car back for a good long time either. I would be like, my car's done forever. I need another car. We're done.
And you know how excited he was to get a gold minivan.
It's a cool one. I know.
Poor guy.
Poor guy. It sucks. So they make a note of the crockpot box and they're like, we just got to get her into the police station
Yeah.
at this point and send the medical examiner over because it's definitely who needs to look in this box.
Yeah.
So once they arrive at the police station, Taylor is questioned by Detective Graff, an unfathomably calm man.
Okay.
I know this is part of the job, but it is impressive. He informs her that officers were sent to 829 Stony Brook Lane that night, where they found Shad's head in a bucket. Taylor replies, "That's pretty fucked up." Yeah, it is, Taylor. Pretty.
Sure.
I would even say that it's super fucked up. I'd go that far.
Okay.
Detective Graff asks her if she knows Shad, and Taylor says yes. Then, clearly wanting to get right down to the point and not playing the same game as the 911 officer did, Detective Graff says, "Where's the rest of the body?" And she says, "It's there. It's in the basement." Well, there are detectives there, and last we checked, they've only found a head. So, what's going on? Okay, time to cut the shit and find out what happened, right? Taylor would go on to be interrogated several times, but she does make a full confession in this first one, as though it seems. I watched the interrogations. They are painfully honest, and I want to make it clear that not a single ounce of her appears to be remorseful. She's not sorry. She doesn't cry. She doesn't look ashamed. She looks kind of bemused at what she did. Like she's casually recounting a story of a thing she did, which is really strange. So the events I'm about to tell you are extremely disturbing, and this is the point at which I'm going to give you the warning. It's gross. If you don't like gross, skip ahead. And if you're under 18, this is your moment to turn this off right now. You got to turn it off now. I'm not kidding. Anyway, when you hear me relate these events, just remember the person describing this scene was super casual, even laughing. And the only way I can describe it is she's telling the story as though it's relatable. Like a lot of times she's like, yeah, no, nobody knows. What do you... Okay. Yeah. So I'm going to get down to the point. At least when we talk about Dahmer, he was pretty stoic and he knew he was a monster. But anyway, to his credit, Detective Graff also never one time loses his cool or hints that he's horrified. He just keeps it the same level of light and casual. According to Taylor, at approximately 9:30 p.m. on Monday the 21st, she and a friend took her roommate's gold minivan and picked up Shad at his mother's house, which aligns with Tara's side of the story. They then went to pick up drugs and returned to Taylor's house on Eastman Avenue, where she later gets apprehended that night. They then smoke meth and weed together. Well, not like mixed together. They're like all hanging out together. You know what? I'm making assumptions. Maybe they did make drug salad. I don't know. The friend, the third in this party, only smoked weed with them. And then when they brought out the meth, the friend was like, no, I got to go.
Yeah, sounds about right.
Friend's not down for the meth. But Taylor and Shad are. So they smoke a bunch of meth. Then Taylor shoots them both up, so Shad and herself, with trazodone. So this is injected into their bloodstreams. What is trazodone? I'm so glad you asked. It is a tricyclic antidepressant medication, which is a little dated in the antidepressant category. It's more widely prescribed at this point as a sleep aid, but apparently it can get you high. I used to take trazodone for sleep. It didn't work for me at all. And when I stopped taking it, I got a week's worth of mind-numbing headaches. Different strokes, I guess. But people who abuse trazodone usually do so by snorting it, smoking it, or most effectively, injecting it into their bloodstream. This bypasses the liver and provides the quickest and most intense high. But it also means that you're jamming needles into your veins, which is really only for the diehards. So if you're like me at this moment, you are realizing there is a whole segment of the population that injects antidepressants.
Yeah.
Did not know.
Oh, yeah.
Did not know. Thought that was strictly for heroin. But you know what? It's not.
No.
Everybody's invited.
Sure.
But this drug specifically will create a very sedated effect. It's not like chasing a euphoric high like heroin is. But considering that meth is an extreme stimulant, I'm thinking this is kind of a Valley of the Dolls balancing act that a lot of addicts do, where they probably wanted to even themselves out.
Right.
So you're going to take a sedative if you're like way up and it's too much. Keeping your like quote unquote level.
Yeah. We want to be a functioning meth addict.
Exactly. And I there's no confirmation on this, but I feel like that's what is happening right here. Because as soon as they do the trazodone, they then like drive away. It's beyond me how that happens, but they do. But keep this in the pocket of your brain that she was doing lots of drugs. So they get in the minivan and they drive back to Shad's mom's house because they decide they're going to have sex in the basement.
Yeah.
She has her own house. I can't tell you why they went back there, but they did. Shad and Taylor had had sex before, but they were not in any kind of a relationship. A lot of reports of this will say that this is her boyfriend or like they were lovers. They were fuck buddies.
Yeah.
They were friends for a long time, high school friends that hung out sometimes, and occasionally it ended up with the two of them having sex. I will remind you that Taylor is married.
Oh, yeah, right.
But her husband is in jail. And we'll get back to that.
Oh.
Yeah. There's a lot of layers to this onion.
Mm-hmm.
Once in the basement, Shad gets out 2 silver dog choke collars. So they are a chain link with a ring on the either end. So these are like old school choke chains where you would use it to like control a pit bull or something. And these are also a dated thing. I haven't seen a person use one in a very long time. They're not good for dogs, or as it turns out, people. And Taylor says that her and Shad are kind of into some kinky stuff. And so she's like excited to go for it. She's like, oh yeah, I'm going to choke him. She said she thought she might walk him around the room like a dog. I'm like, all right.
And that's why they have the chewy.com.
Oh
boxes.
God, maybe. I don't know. I don't like it. Taylor says that she was into choking people during sex. She did not want to be the chokey. She wanted to be the choker.
Okay, she's the dominant one.
All right. Yeah, live your life. So they're like, cool, we're going to go for it. So they smoke some more meth real quick.
Yeah, you need to.
Amp it up, right?
Yeah.
Then Shad lays down on the mattress, face down, with one of the chains around his neck. Now, at this point, that's totally consensual. He had suggested it.
Sure.
Taylor starts to pull the chain from behind. So she would be like on his back, chain around his neck, pulling upward. And she pulls hard. And Shad is like a little guy. So
She's got that meth strength.
She does have meth strength right now.
This is why she needed the antidepressant.
Exactly. It's why she had to level it out, man. So she starts to pull. And this is an angle at which like you're really getting some leverage because you have his body weight too pulling down on him. And it's easy to see how this would keep Taylor in control even if things got bad, which they did. But Taylor didn't stop. And this is not like a light choking.
No.
And there was no safe word.
I'm just picturing that kind of chain. Oh,
it's rough. Yep.
I hated seeing it on dogs too.
I know.
Okay.
I don't like it either. But she's like getting really into it. Like she loves this right now. Okay. And she openly says this in the interview.
Yeah.
Even when Shad starts to turn purple, she's like, I'm going to keep going. This is awesome.
Oh, yeah. Now he's a nice color.
Yeah. Then he starts wheezing and coughing.
Oh.
And then he starts coughing up blood.
Yeah.
And she thinks, oh boy, this is getting bad. And at this point in the interrogation, she says, well, I've gone that far, so I had to like finish. You had to just keep going and kill him?
Yeah, that's the drugs talking.
Is this like a mercy killing at this point? You think he's going to be damaged or something? Yeah. You don't have to keep going. She's like, well, I guess I have to kill him. She said, I didn't want to kill him. He was my buddy.
This is why you need a safe word.
Yeah.
If he just yelled out like French fry or something, they would have stopped.
No, but she loved it. So she'd have been like, I didn't hear that French fry. I like this. I'm going to keep going.
Cow to cacao.
So she did. She kept going until Shad no longer had a pulse or was breathing. And this kind of death takes 3 to 5 minutes, which is a really long time when someone is struggling. And
she's just contemplating the whole time.
Yeah, like, that's what I'm saying. Like, you know what you're doing, and you are every second of that time, you are actively choosing to continue doing it.
Right. I mean, also like the drugs are too.
Sure.
Like,
but if you're able to recount it this well, you had your senses about you enough to have stopped.
Yeah.
Because at this point, she's still saying, I really liked it. It was great. I liked it.
Yeah.
But she did not stop. So you'd think this kind of event would have been horribly traumatic. But Taylor said, even though she claimed that she blacked out several times during it, she really enjoyed the whole thing. And it left her pretty turned on. So after he was dead, she wasn't done.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. So for 2 to 3 hours, she then sexually assaulted Shad's lifeless body. At this point in time, it is considered sexual assault of the corpse because he cannot consent to any of this.
Yeah.
So she, this is so gross. She performed oral sex on him for a while.
Okay.
She did it to him. The detective is like, was he hard or? And she was like, kind of. Okay.
Ooh.
Then they had also had with them a flesh-colored dildo in a wooden box, which is in evidence, and you can see online if you're not prepared. So she used that to sodomize him, so both orally and anally. And then she cuddled with him for a little while and then performed some more oral sex. And after a few hours of that, she decided she wanted to go deeper. And so while she was performing oral sex, she started cutting his genitals off. The quotation.
While it was in her mouth?
The quotation is, I was sucking and cutting. It's a quotation. I didn't make that up. I couldn't if I tried. And she was using knives she had retrieved during one of her brief trips upstairs from the kitchen.
Right.
Okay, so after she emasculates him, she takes off his penis, she flips Shad over and hangs his head off the edge of the bed. Goes and gets a 5-gallon bucket, puts it underneath the head. Again, this is so much planning that it's really hard to say you weren't with it when you did this.
Right.
And she's recounting it perfectly.
Yeah.
Then she uses the bread knife, choosing the serrated one because it's the one you're going to need for large areas to remove his head. So she sawed it off until it fell in the bucket right underneath him and collected all the stuff in there. She also throws the penis in there and the bread knife. Okay. This is organized. And then after that, there's more.
I know. Okay, hold on. I'm just also imagining. All right, so before he dies, before she is pulling the chain.
Yep.
And now he can't breathe.
Yep.
What I'm guessing is that either he's so drugged up that his like muscles aren't quite working either, or that like if he were to move, it would hurt even more. Because that's like with the dog chain, like if they pull, it tightens it,
absolutely.
right? So because I'm just wondering why he didn't like try to kick her off or.
I think one, she was stronger than he's not a big guy.
Yeah.
He looks like a kid in his pictures.
Yeah.
And I think he's laying face down. And if you pull that hard, she's probably lifting his head and neck off the bed by pulling the chain around his neck.
Right.
So if she's sitting on him too, which I assume she had to have been to get that kind of leverage, he's pinned down. There's not a whole lot he can do.
And if he does try to move at all, it probably is pinching him more and hurting.
Absolutely. And it was, up until a point, consensual. So he's not fighting when he has his wits about him. He's letting it happen until he's blacking out probably, because people who are into autoerotic asphyxiation or strangulation play, some of them do black out.
Yeah,
that's part of it.
Pretty far. Yeah, maybe he did black out too. And if depending on how much he's actually feeling from it, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
So,
all right. Okay. Sorry. Continue.
All right. So after the decapitation, she cuts Shad's body up into a great many more pieces. Now, I don't like to say usual because there is no usual in this kind of situation, but under other similar circumstances, people who commit murder and want to hide a body usually do things like take off the arms and legs.
Right, the limbs.
Yeah, so everything is like they can get it out of there. That is not what she really did. There's just no explanation to this other than she was like kind of into it. So she bisected the body. So this is like Black Dahlia style. So she cut it in half after it was headless. And then cutting the body in half gave her an access point to like the chest and abdominal cavity. So she just pulled out some organs, reached right in there. And then she filleted a large portion of the back, which means she just pulled skin off.
Mm-hmm.
The medical examiner said that there were areas that were completely defleshed and described the body as bloodless. So that, I mean, this is a bloody, bloody event.
Yeah.
Now, from what I can gather from interviews in the autopsy report, the body was in approximately 12 major pieces. And that isn't counting removed organs. It's just pieces. So as I said, she body's bisected. The legs were cut up into parts. Everything is cut up into pieces. But like, where are they, right? You would think that if there was all these body parts in the basement, they would have been immediately visible.
Right.
Back at the crime scene, the investigators looked into a large blue plastic tote. I can't imagine what this is like because it is very casually placed in the basement. You would walk right by it. You wouldn't stop and look in it. But when they did, they see the torso. They see a skinned torso with a foot stuffed into the chest cavity and several loose organs in the bucket. They also then find a navy blue Jimmy Choo bag. They make sure to get that designer in there in every report, filled with a bunch of human tissue. So just like flesh, body parts, and used Lysol wipes. And these are contained in plastic shopping bags and then put in bigger bags, which just look like luggage sitting in a basement. They just walked by it originally. The remaining pieces were in more plastic grocery bags that are strategically placed throughout the basement. Just, again, there was junk strewn around.
Right.
You wouldn't think it was that. The medical examiner was able to put Shad's body mostly back together with the parts he had, but they were missing one piece. They're missing a thigh.
Oh.
Yeah. Back at the police station, Taylor told Detective Graff that she had intended on taking all of the body parts with her to dispose of or keep, but she got, quote, lazy.
Yeah.
She's like, I got lazy.
She was like, it was just too much.
And she says as she goes, I can't believe I forgot the head. I liked the head. She tells the officer it was by the steps because she wanted to keep it and take it with her.
Right.
Great. In the end, she had only packed up the one thigh in a crock pot box and loaded it into the minivan where detectives would discover it immediately after.
Gotcha.
There's the thing in the minivan. Oh. Back at the scene, though, they also found all the knives, a bread knife, a steak knife, and 2 paring knives, the 2 choke chains, a meth pipe, some leftover meth in a little baggie. So everything she says, it's all there. Yeah. She only left with a piece of a leg in one box. She did get tired. Taylor,
it's a lot of work.
Yeah, and here's the best part. She doesn't express remorse for she does. She's like, I didn't want to kill him, but not real remorse. But she does say, you know what? I really should have done the rest of that meth because it would have given me more energy to complete the job.
There you go.
I'm not even kidding.
I'm not even.
She was like, I should have done my meth. Which is the wildest thing to say, and so casual. Just, God, you know what? You're right, because the detective was like, you didn't do the rest of the drugs. You had plans or something? She's like, no, but you're right. I really should have done that meth. It really gives you more energy, and I could have completed my tasks.
Yeah.
Woo! And then she pivots and is like, I was definitely meth crazy when I did this, by the way. I was in a meth coma. I should have done more meth, but I was definitely meth blacked out.
Yeah.
While being that, I don't know, cognizant of everything you're doing. Because this feels very organized. You look at everything down there. The officers didn't even see it at first. You knew what you were doing. It's hard to say that you're totally meth crazy. However, that is a real thing. People do some wild stuff when they're on meth.
Yeah.
Would you happen to know anything about that, Leslie?
Me?
Are there? Yeah, you. Are there any other examples maybe in the world out there?
Man, do I know so much about meth and the crazy things you do on it.
Oh my gosh. Please give us some examples.
Yes. Okay, so when you asked me to look up the craziest things people do on meth, a lot of the same stuff comes on where it's just some of it's really sad, where it's parents take meth and leave their baby in the car and it does not end well. There's other ones where people get pulled over for tinted windows and then cops are like, you have a whole meth lab in your car. So,
I'm sorry, officer, what?
If you're in a state that can't have tinted windows, don't be having a meth lab in your car with tinted windows.
That's good advice.
Yeah, I'm just saying. But I did find, there's a lot of really crazy things on Reddit that are a lot closer to this story in a way of the sexual acts.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, meth crazy is a thing. People definitely do really, really wild stuff when they're on meth.
Yeah. I feel like I need to partially share this one because it is something I can't
share with us.
Unread ever again.
This is Leslie's off the cuff.
Oh, man. I'm going to tone it down a bit. You guys will understand because I can't read it. That's too gross.
Fair.
And I already said the one inappropriate thing. But I think this is kind of close to just kind of doing something to an extent or just letting something happen.
Yeah.
And like, why wouldn't you just stop? But you're fully aware that it's happening.
Okay.
Okay. So this guy goes to a party, does some meth.
Does his meth.
Then he steps outside and he finds himself like, there's like a barn on the property, finds himself in the barn and he sees like the guy's house that he was in. It was like his girlfriend was like in the barn or something, or there was just a girl, something like that. Either way, there was a girl there and they start like making out with each other. And then he goes down on her. And so this whole thing is happening. And then a horse appears.
No. Oh, no.
And the horse is really enjoying what he's seeing.
No.
So while they're all unclothed and the guy is down
The horse took his clothes off?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Yeah. Took off those straps and his hooves. And his like little metal plates.
Oh, his horseshoes?
His horseshoes. Yeah.
His hooves and the little metal plates.
Yeah. His little horseshoes.
Yeah, yeah.
So while the guy is down on all fours, just like a horse.
No.
The horse comes up behind him.
No.
And has himself a piece. And the guy just lets it happen.
Don't make me go over the Washington zoophile case because it's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's a whole population of men who get together and let horses fuck them. So
yeah. So that was a thing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
Terrifying.
That's gross and awful. But
okay.
Nobody died, thankfully.
Nobody died. So anyway, but crazy things happened. And the guy was just like, it was wild.
Was it?
Was it? Okay. But I did find some crazy things that police have arrested people on that.
Sure.
Okay. So one of them, little tame, the owner of a funeral home and 2 other men were arrested in Jasper, Alabama, after meth was found inside the funeral home.
Oh.
There had been an ongoing problem with meth use in Jasper, and the investigation led police to the Southside Funeral Home where they found half a pound of meth. And they were just like making or at least distributing it out there, like through the funeral home to the rest of the town.
Wow.
Yeah. It was, yeah.
God.
Then, in December of 2011, police were called to a Walmart in Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Never good.
After staff reported a woman hanging around in the store for nearly 6 hours.
That's too long.
When police arrived, they found 45-year-old Alicia Greta Halfmoon.
Oh.
Right? Good last name.
Mm-hmm.
In an aisle mixing something on a store shelf. She had gathered ingredients, including a chemical drain cleaner and lithium throughout the store. She had already mixed 2 containers of sulfuric acid with starter fluid. Police asked Halfmoon what was going on, and she said that she just couldn't afford all the ingredients, so she was just taking what she needed in these bottles. And then police, meanwhile, evacuated all the shoppers just in case her concoctions were going to
Or like noxious fumes or something. Yeah, everybody's on meth now.
And when firefighters arrived, they also like kind of questioned her, like, what the fuck were you doing? She was just like, I was just trying to make meth, but I'm just like not very good at it.
That's why you got to lock up that Sudafed.
Yeah. Yeah. I know, of all the things that they were like looking for, she did not take. Like,
she didn't take Sudafed?
No.
That's wild.
Yeah. But they did clearly like find her on meth.
Oh my God.
And she had just been released from the hospital or the police station like 2 days before for also like drug related
meth.
Yeah. Now this is my favorite.
Okay.
In Payson, Arizona, a man was pulled over by police for suspected drinking and driving. When the cops approached the vehicle, they noticed the man had a little owl sitting in his passenger seat. Police asked the driver where he got the owl. It's the cutest little owl, too. I'll have a picture. To which he explained that another driver had found the owl on the side of the road and sold it to him for $100 at a gas station. So police arrested the man for aggravated DUI, possession of methamphetamine, and possession of transport and purchase of wildlife. And then in every article, it's just the police being like, just a reminder, guys, like, you can't take or sell wildlife. Please leave them alone.
Also, don't do meth?
Yeah,
maybe?
It's mostly the wildlife they were concerned about.
All right.
But yeah.
The
cutest little owl.
Just a little owl.
And it's like, it looks like a baby owl. Like, it's really small and it's gray.
It's the meth owl.
It was the meth owl. He was just in the passenger seat, just trying to help the guy get home safely.
I wish the guy was like, and he was talking to me.
Yeah. His name is Frank.
He's very helpful. I don't have a GPS, but Frank knows where he's going. He's been everywhere.
Yeah.
That is much less harmful than the other one.
For sure.
Oh, Frank the meth owl is now my mascot.
I think what I've noticed, though, in like researching all of these cases on people on meth is that they are just very honest. They're like, well, here's what happened.
Oh, God.
Here's what's going on.
That's so crazy.
I just picked up an owl on the side of the road.
I know. It was the most logical thing in the world. Everything was fine.
I mean, high on meth. It's just what you do.
I can see how, like, Taylor was very efficient because meth is a stimulant.
Right.
So it's going to make you more, in some ways, focused on tasks. I mean, like, that's what I take for, like, ADHD reasons. Like, those are stimulants and they make you more focused. Meth is obviously way more than that.
Yeah.
But, like, part of me is like, oh, well, that's why you were able to, like, in your head go, okay, I'm going to put these things in these boxes. I'm going to clean up. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. But, like, I don't know.
Now, I obviously don't know any more about Taylor.
Right.
But from what I can gather, like, just from this story, it doesn't necessarily, though, yes, it sounds, like, very thought through. It still also sounds very much like thought through at the moment.
It
not
definitely
like,
was at the moment. I don't think it was premeditated at all.
She just was somewhat clear-headed in a really gross way.
She was actively making these choices. Enough to say to police that she actively made those choices.
Right. I feel like she was having a sexual experience. She was also dealing with a friend and also being like, well, this is a fun little experiment I could do.
This is like a craft.
Yeah. Let's see what's going on inside this body.
So.
And then I love a dick.
She did love a good dick. Moving forward.
This is awful.
It is awful.
It's awful for the parents.
Yeah. It's so awful for the parents. I mean, so awful. Who have to be in the courtroom.
Or the sister. The poor sister. That 16-year-old. And the baby. The baby maid.
I don't know where the baby maid is. I don't know what. I didn't even go into it. I'm like, I don't need to find out whose baby that is. I just know that in all the pictures of the house, there's a million baby things.
Right.
So a baby frequently visits that home. Or she's like, I don't know. I have no idea. Anyway, so clearly Taylor is arrested.
Yeah.
Like right away. Okay. They're like, yeah, okay, we got to book you, buddy. That's it. We're not doing that. So in his case, the medical examiner is a man named Dr. Vincent Tragita. And bless this guy because he has a lot to work on right now. He kind of puts all the pieces of the puzzle that was Shad back together. And he can determine from the head that, and the rest of the body, that he died of strangulation. It aligns with the story completely. And they find methamphetamine and cannabis in his bloodstream. That also aligns with the story. And Shad's social media accounts show a man who's struggled deeply with addiction. His friends say this. His family says this. He struggled. Drugs had a hold on him. He was, by all accounts, up until the day before the murder, he was posting things on Facebook about like being very depressed, being hopeless, wanting to end his own life. He does not have a very happy existence at this point. And not for lack of family. He did have people who cared about him. He was just, addiction is a disease and he was just in the throes of it. So it is clear that he was a pretty helpless victim, made more helpless by drugs in this situation. So according to his obituary, Shad also enjoyed music and woodworking. He worked with his dad and made like stuff out of wood. He was also kind and affable and beloved by his family. Taylor's story is a little different. So that piece was just to kind of, it all aligns with Shad.
Okay.
Everything that she said and they said, it lines up to be true.
Okay.
Taylor, of course, immediately goes for like, I was insane. That defense. You're going to have to because what you did was insane. And in order to prove this, the defense and the prosecution kind of have to dig into her past. So who is this woman, right? Like, what led you to this? Well, she was not born Taylor Schabusiness, obviously. No, she was born in November of 1997 as Taylor Denise Coronado. Her father is named Arturo and her mother is Marla, and she was born in Chicago. She had one sibling, a brother who they called AJ, who tragically died in a motorcycle accident just before this event occurred. So just a few months before this, her brother AJ was tragically killed. So the family lived in Chicago until Taylor was in the 4th grade, and then they moved to Green Bay. When Taylor was 11, so that's 5th grade. So this is just after the move to Green Bay. Her mother died of liver problems brought on by excessive drinking. It says cirrhosis of the liver and excessive alcohol consumption. So basically, she drank herself to death. And after that, Taylor went to Texas to live with her grandparents for a time. Now, I can't really tell you how long she was with them because all of these events are kind of muddy. We know that it happened. We know she was with her grandparents for a while, long enough to go to school out there. We also know she came back and went to school in Green Bay because she went to school with Shad in both middle and high school, which would put her back in Green Bay.
Okay.
But some of the stuff is muddy. So anyway.
Maybe she finished out her school year or something.
Yeah, I think what I think happened, if I could put this together well enough, is that she lived with the grandparents for a few years, went to school there, then came back, and then she is expelled in her senior year, and she went back to Texas with her grandparents and finished school there.
Okay.
So that's just the general map of it, but it gets a little more muddy. While she was with her grandparents the first time in Texas, because that's where her grandparents live, she was evaluated for some behavioral problems. She was violent in school. She was getting in fights. She was insubordinate, that kind of thing. And they diagnosed her with, let me get the paragraph for you. Okay, so it says, apparently she was definitely there for a few years because this is in the 7th grade. Documents filed recalled Taylor receiving mental health treatment when she was in 7th grade to address attention, concentration, and behavior problems in school. At the time, she was medicated to address, quote, symptoms presumed to stem from ADD or ADHD. They're the same now. Her attorneys said that Schabusiness was later prescribed, this kills me, a mood stabilizer, an antidepressant, and an antipsychotic until age 18 when she weaned herself off medications.
Oh, okay.
First of all, ADHD is not treated like that.
Yeah.
If they all stem from ADHD, why are you not on any ADHD medicine? You definitely can use this other medication to treat stuff that is going on at the same time as ADHD, but she's not treating it at all. So I don't understand how this supposed diagnosis leads to the medication she took. She would have had to have something totally different. So antipsychotic, antidepressant, that says to me that there was some kind of, people have said bipolar, which makes sense. But we don't have any formal diagnosis, so we don't really know. We just know she was on those meds. And also, you can't just wean yourself off them without medical advice.
Right.
That's also a recipe for disaster. So after that 7th grade business, at some point, she does go back to live with her father, who, after her mother's death, got remarried pretty quickly. So she goes and lives with them. And her father, this is fun. Her father, as I said, is remarried. But that marriage is ultimately destroyed because he is arrested for raping a 16-year-old girl in her bed.
Ooh.
Yep.
Okay, so she just does not have great parents.
No. Yeah, he's still imprisoned for this crime, thankfully, but he is brought in to testify in Taylor's circus of a trial in his orange jumpsuit. He testifies that she always had some issues. She was angry. He was always worried about her. Stuff was going on. According to Arturo, she got involved with the wrong men and introduced her to meth, and that's why this happened. Okay. After testifying, he gets off the stand, tells Taylor he loves her, and then says, "Go Bears!"
Well,
you can't make it up. Can't make it
Chicago strong.
Yeah, dude. I guess once and always. So, as I mentioned, she is also expelled during her senior year for fighting. So she finishes school apparently in Texas and then is back in Wisconsin. So she's bounced around a lot. There is also, of course, talk on the side of the defense in this case, so in Taylor's camp, of Arturo sexually abusing Taylor when she was little. But this matter was not given much time or weight during the trial. So I don't know if they ruled it out or just ruled it to be a matter that was not part of this trial. Because that's not what that's not what's on trial right now. So really, if it doesn't affect this, they can't deal with it.
Yeah.
Moving forward in Taylor's life, in and around 2018, there is no date on when this relationship started, but I know it was happening in 2018. Taylor got into a relationship with a man named Warren Shabo, who went, quote, professionally by the name Warren Schabusiness. I don't know what his profession was. They have a lot of like Facebook posts about like, yeah, Schabusiness, making money, Schabusiness strong, out in the world. I don't know what this brand does. I have no idea. But they talk about it a lot.
Maybe they're just manifesting.
Maybe. And also his Facebook page, which he somehow is able to update from prison, because there are a lot of updates on it, and he is in prison right now, is scary. So I am not going to talk any kind of weird shit about this guy.
Okay.
Yep. Cool. But they do speak of their last name as though it is a money-making commodity.
Yeah.
So much so that Taylor legally changed her last name to Schabusiness in 2018. And Warren says in one of his Facebook posts, I am the one who blessed her with that name.
Yeah.
But not because they got married in 2018, just because it was a good name. Warren, however, never formally changed his name. Legally, his name is still Warren Shabo. I don't know why she's the only one who changed it, but she is. I have no idea. The two were eventually married in 2020. He still never formally changed his name.
I mean, I don't know if that's a good business move on his part, because if the name does start to gain some money, I think it's her name's on it.
Right. Legally, he's not connected to that either. So, I mean, he is because he married her, but like the name isn't.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I don't know, for whatever reason, on all his legal documents, like you can see his court records, it's Warren Shabo. It's not Warren Schabusiness. So I have no idea. And in his Facebook post from prison, it says, my name is Warren Shabo. So he's not going by the other one. I don't know what is going on there. Anyway.
Well, maybe she did mean to put Shabo, but they've been saying Schabusiness for so long that, or no.
No, she never changed her name to Shabo. The documents are there.
No, I know. So when she went to go change her name, okay, this is what I think.
Okay.
I think she did think his name was Schabusiness. And then she was just like, we're married and I'm going to go change my name. And she writes Schabusiness. But then later it's just like, wait, it's Shabo? But now
I like that.
I'm just going to go with it.
She changed her name 2 years before they got married, though.
Okay. So before, yeah, but I guess that makes even more sense. Probably before they fully really knew each other.
Not to me. Okay.
I thought that my husband's last name was Yeager for like months.
No, you didn't.
I did, because on everything, he's going to be so... You can take this out.
He's going to cut this.
You can cut this. But when I first met him, and we're like 21. Yeah. So at a bar, his name, it always introduced him to me as Johnny Yeager. And then on his MySpace profile was Johnny Yeager.
No, it wasn't.
Yeah.
I did not know
have
this.
Facebook
John.
at the time. I don't even think. But it was just because like, you remember like Yeager and like Red Bull was a drink, you know? So that was like a drink he drank. And so and Johnny Yeager just goes together. So they would just like say it. And so I was like, and so instead of thinking that they call him that as a nickname because he drinks Yeager and Red Bull, I was like, oh, his last name is Yeager and he drinks Yeager.
That would be like you immediately going, well, I'm going to change my last name to Yeager right now.
I thought immediately, was like, I could do that, Leslie Yeager.
Okay.
I mean, I was in love with him from day one. So.
That's very sweet. But you don't want to relate it to this story, probably.
No.
So.
Just saying.
All right. Just saying.
I was naive enough to think it was Yeager.
It happened.
She might have thought it was Schabusiness.
So they branded themselves. She not with like a branding iron, but like, you know, her last name is Schabusiness. They get married in 2020. And in 2021, Taylor gives birth to their son, a little boy named Mateo. There's a baby in this case.
I love that name.
Yeah. He's very cute, too. He's like a precious little baby. There's pictures of him on her Facebook page, which you can easily access.
Yeah.
Mateo is ultimately sent to live with his paternal grandparents before any of this happened. Okay. So again,
that's good.
No concern for baby. Thank goodness. And it is a little muddy when and how this happened.
Which grandparents? I guess the guys?
Warren's parents who live in Texas. So they're sent off to live.
Oh, his parents are also... Oh, because she's in Texas.
I
No,
think it
wait.
was just a coincidence that she lived
Okay.
in Texas with her
Everyone's in
grandparents for a while. I
Texas.
know, for whatever reason, everyone's in Texas. So they're sent off. So it says paternal in the article.
Okay.
So I'm going to assume that's
Oh, yeah, you
correct
said
in several
paternal.
articles. And there is the only thread I have to pull in this is that there is a friend, someone who claims to be a friend of Taylor's, who posted video of Taylor and the baby after everything happened, saying, I don't remember her being this crazy person. I remember her being my friend who I called Taylor Tot, and she loved her baby. And this is a picture of her and a video of her and her baby. She's different now, obviously.
Yeah.
And what she did is unforgivable. But in this post, this woman says her baby was taken away because it tested positive for drugs.
Okay.
I don't know if that's true.
Yeah.
I only have one source that says that. It could not be true, but it claims that she had to leave her baby with his parents because
Yeah.
the state, legally separated her. All I can find legal document wise is that Warren was arrested and convicted and sent to federal prison for, wait for it, meth, selling large quantities of meth. And it was pretty clear that Taylor was also using it.
Yeah.
So that would also warrant taking this baby away.
And in a lot of those cases that I was going through, the kids always wound up with some meth, whether it was on the floor and they just had it, they were just in the same room.
Exactly. Yeah. So we don't really know. The baby is fine and healthy and cared for, and that is really all that matters in this case. But there's a lot of meth going on. And this arrest for the meth, that's not Warren's first rodeo. He had been previously arrested for armed burglary. So in 2015, I believe. But again, I'm not going into Warren too hard because he makes me nervous. But Taylor also had a police record, we find out when digging into her past. Quote, a criminal complaint filed in 2020 in a case involving Schabusiness, Taylor Schabusiness, offers a glimpse of bizarre behavior and potential drug use. Taylor was charged with battery on a law enforcement officer and resisting arrest after allegedly behaving oddly after she was found walking in the middle of the street. So here's what happened. Apparently, Taylor had been using meth and was outside in the world, and she walked into traffic. People reported this odd behavior, feeling it's like a major street, and people are like, this woman's going to get hit by a car. So the cops respond to that call, and they try to go out and pull her out of the street. And while they do this, she starts kicking the shit out of them.
Yeah.
And they can't get a hold on her, and she runs away. Not good. Quote, on January 3rd, Taylor was convicted and sentenced for 3 months for fleeing, eluding, and obstructing police. It is unclear if she was on work release at the time of the murder. She had removed a GPS tracker from her ankle. So she did serve time for this. And then she was let out on work release sometimes.
Okay.
So I guess she took off her own tracker after that. So she has this trying to assault a police officer, eluding police officers. All of this is to say she's now a repeat offender.
Right.
And when trying a case, that's very important. It means that she is up for a much harsher sentence. So there's all our Taylor information. And this seems pretty cut and dry, right? There's a lot of evidence. She went through a lot. She's had this going on. It seems like you had the body, you have a confession, she's in custody. This shouldn't even make it to trial, right? It should just be a sentencing. It should be done. But it did. Because Taylor tried really hard to first get an insanity defense, but she was deemed mentally competent. After that, she tried to say that it was, drug-based. But her memories of the event are perfect, and she admittedly did not do more drugs after the murder, so that didn't really work either. She really didn't have a leg to stand on. She was just trying to. During this trial, which is a circus, there's so much crazy evidence. There's so much. And they also delve into her search history, which reveals a rather unsettling obsession with who? Ah, yes. True crime, social media Voldemort, Jeffrey Dahmer. She had looked up so much Dahmer stuff, including Jeffrey Dahmer looking all hot walking into court and Jeffrey Dahmer's butt. She has a thing for Jeff.
Okay.
Which looks very bad when you are in the same state and you are cutting up a person.
Yeah.
Just like he did.
Right.
It looks a little more premeditated than maybe it was. Or maybe it was that premeditated. Truly, we can't tell. We don't know. We weren't in her head.
Right.
But it all looks really bad for her, right? Back to like the medical examiner who, is like, yeah, it's very obvious everything that she did. It's obvious that she took apart this body with these specific knives. We found the knives. They even found the tip of one of the knives in the body parts that matched up like a puzzle with the knife. It was all so very obvious. And they lay it all out in court. They bring in Shad's mother to testify. And here's the real kicker. The whole time, Taylor sits in court and she's like smiling and smirking and laughing. She looks like entertained. When they pull out pictures of the dildo she used, when the medical examiner is up there talking about how she cut off Shad's head, she gets this look on her face that I can only describe one might get if you're like a little embarrassed that someone's telling an impressive story about you. Like if you had a friend that was like, oh my God, one night Leslie was so fun and crazy. We went out and did this really fun thing. Then we went like skinny dipping and danced and it was great. And you'd cover your face and be like, oh, stop it. I am fun. Like,
wow, I am fun.
That's the face she has on.
Okay.
It's not the face you have on in court when that happens. You got to fix your face.
Yeah.
And we can't really judge too much on how people react because people do nervous laugh. They nervous smile. It's a real thing. This is days and days of it, though. And her lawyer, I mean, if I was her lawyer, I'd be like, you got to fucking get it together. You have to look more resolved. You can't look like this. It's awful.
Yeah. But I'm sure her lawyer was just like, I don't.
Well, there's issues with her lawyer, too.
Oh.
Because initially, she had a man named Quinn Jolly.
Ooh.
Great name.
These are great
names. As, representing her. He had represented her in her previous case. He submits a plea of not guilty by reason of insanity. And he goes through the first half of the trial with her. Then on February 14th, 2023, Taylor attacks Quinn Jolly in the courtroom, like climbs over the seat and attacks him after he requests that the trial date be pushed back so that experts could determine her competency to stand trial. He's like, we need experts to evaluate her. And she was like, the fuck we do, and attacked him in court. So after she does that, Taylor was tackled by Brown County Sheriff's officers. No one was seriously injured. Quote, around 10 minutes following the attack, Jolly said to Judge Walsh, who was the judge on this case, that he plans to file a motion to be removed from the case. You would. And he was removed. He was then replaced by a man named Christopher Freilich on May 3rd, who requested that Judge Walsh also remove himself from the trial as he saw the attack and that could affect his ruling. But the judge was like, no, I'm going to do this.
Yeah.
So now she has a new lawyer. And I think this lawyer was like out of his league, didn't know. He doesn't represent super well in court, I should say. On July 26th, a jury convicted Taylor Schabusiness of first-degree intentional homicide, mutilation of a corpse, and third-degree sexual assault. So this just happened. Judge Walsh has set sentencing for September 26th. So in a few weeks, we will know what her sentencing is, and we will update you. It is proposed, I believe, to be life.
Okay. Yeah, I hope so.
So in the aftermath of this case, one of the, in my opinion, like strangest things to happen is that, however, I don't know how he's doing it, but her husband does actively post on social media a lot. Like he changed his profile picture in the time I was researching this case, which is freaky to me. Anyway.
It's strange that they have access.
I don't know how but he definitely does. And his posts are all about Queen Taylor, his beloved wife, who he is supporting and who people should stop talking shit about. But I can't wrap my brain around it because I'm like, how? I don't understand. I truly don't understand. His opinion, I believe, and this is better stated by the woman who posted the video I previously mentioned, was that Taylor also suffered from postpartum depression, and that can cause psychosis too.
Yeah.
And very, very, very rarely, but I mean, in somebody with that many other things, perhaps. They say that she was changed by the death of her brother, followed by the birth of her son, and then the introduction of a lot of drugs on top of a mental illness she was not medicating.
And then also losing custody of her son.
Right.
Okay.
She did have a lot going on. And maybe before all of this, she was a very different person. We don't know. The only thing with that is it doesn't excuse her from the crime.
No, and I think that she is, I don't know.
And if that is
she's
true,
not okay.
she
Like,
is
she's
not
not
okay.
safe
No,
to
she's not
keep
okay.
out. Yeah.
Absolutely not. And the woman who made this post also says, I know that she's a different person now. She's not the person that I
Right.
knew. And I hope she gets help because she committed unforgivable offenses. And it's true. The person, whoever she is now, I mean, was laughing at this stuff in court. You just present yourself as completely unredeemable or unforgivable. Like, it's very hard
Right.
to make that sympathetic.
Right.
Even with all of those things, I'm still looking at this woman going like, I can't find the empathy for it.
Right. But also if she is sick at this point,
Yeah.
then it's just she's not well enough to give a lighter sentence.
No.
Or, you know what I mean? Like, she's
No,
just,
I agree.
again, she's just not safe to have out on the streets.
No. And also, like, you did that. You got to
Yeah.
go away now.
Yeah.
You didn't just, if it had ended with, we were having really rough, crazy sex and I don't know what happened and he's dead. And when I saw he was dead, I called the police. I went upstairs. I panicked. I cried. I'm so sad. I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
I that's never okay or anything. But that's like, oh, that is genuinely an accident.
Right.
And yeah, this person was God. That's how awful.
Right.
No, she says she's super cognizant.
That was a whole other extent.
Yeah.
Like, even thinking of like the parents that have left their kids in the car.
Yeah.
But they're high. Like, that's one thing.
Yeah.
This is a whole other thing.
Yeah. You can say you're unaware of your actions when they're actions you could be unaware of. That's not what we're dealing with. And I think that is everyone's, and it should be, a sticking point. And like, she could have all the postpartum depression. She could have schizophrenia. There are plenty of people in the world who have a psychotic disorder and exist fine. They take their medicine. They are responsible. They live their daily lives. We cannot use that any longer as a reason to do really heinous things because it's not.
Yeah.
And it's unfair to anybody who is managing themselves and is caring for their things and taking their meds and doing the work.
Yeah.
So it's not really an excuse.
Yeah.
It could provide some of an explanation. But that's it here.
Right. Yeah. I guess I'll be interested if she ever gets to the place where she's like remorseful then.
Yeah, I think that would be interesting because right now she's just so smug in court.
Yeah.
And I wonder if at her sentencing she'll give any kind of a statement because she will be allowed to speak. Like, I believe Shad's family will be given the opportunity to make an impact statement, and I believe she will be given the opportunity to speak.
Right.
And I do wonder if she's going to present herself any differently.
Because sometimes when you're in prison, you can, and while you're like waiting for these things, you can get clean and have, you know, maybe start to come back to what you once were.
Sure.
But also it's weird that it's also very easy to not stay clean in prison.
Yep. And in addition to that, like she would, it depends on the prison.
Yeah.
Because sometimes they will be seen by medical professionals who will help them with medication and get them back on track to, you know, being in their preferred state of mind or their right state of mind. Preferred, who knows what their preferred state of mind is. And if that happens, yeah, she'll see things hopefully very differently. But like, who knows?
Yeah.
So we'll do an update.
Okay.
For sure after the sentencing occurs and we'll let you guys know.
Yeah.
But I was interested to cover this case now because Kelly presented it in such a compelling manner.
Yeah.
And the trial is all over. You can watch the whole trial. It's insane.
Wild.
Yep. So that's the case.
Oh.
Told you it was a wild one.
It is a wild one. I feel like I had to make some jokes because it was sad and gross.
Same. Same. Like, there has to be levity in cases like this, not because we are trying to make light of a horrible situation, but because you have to make an island of light in the sea of recounting a horrible situation or you're just going to drown.
And just how the parents felt, like, with the bucket. Just shock. Like, that's what it is. You're just like, you're hearing this stuff and then sometimes it takes you a minute to be like, wait, this is fucking real.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. 100%. Like,
this happened.
His parents couldn't even wrap their mind around it. Yeah. They absolutely couldn't. And I will put a link to the GoFundMe to support Tara Pakanich through this because she did incur quite a bit of expense, obviously.
Yeah,
she needs to pay for legal expenses and
they have to find a new maid.
New baby maid. Oh,
she's not going to want to clean up.
No. But they also did have all the services they had to provide for Shad. And it's a lot. There is a lot that goes into that. And so if you guys want to make a donation, I will provide the link in our show notes for that as well.
Okay. That's good.
So,
yeah, go give to that.
So, toast?
Toast.
Obviously to Tara and Steve.
Yes.
Holy cannoli. And also Detective Graff, who, I mean, I've seen a lot of interrogations just for this podcast, and I can't imagine keeping that much of my cool while having that conversation with this person. I mean, I would have been also terrified because she was so casual about so many things that were like not casual. So I will say a toast to them.
Great.
Anybody else you want to toast?
Yes.
Ooh.
We have some patrons this month.
Oh my goodness.
Toast.
I'm so excited.
Yes. We have 2.
Who are they?
All right. So we have a best fiend forever.
Love them.
Johnny Sanders.
Cheers, Johnny Sanders. Thank you.
Thank you. And we also have a best fiend, Ashley Pender.
Thank you, Ashley.
Thank you. They play chess on the weekends, and they are very good at it.
So good.
Top contenders this year.
Perfect.
Going to the Chess Pros.
You haven't done this in a while, so people are going to think you're telling the truth.
I know.
Leslie used to give all our patrons a very intelligent backstory.
Yeah. It was mostly just chess. They were all very good at chess.
They were all very good at chess.
I don't even remember why.
I don't know. It just happened for a little while.
I played chess one day and was just like, chess.
Everyone's good at chess.
Yeah.
They're so smart.
Yeah. We also have a welcome back.
Oh, welcome back.
Yeah. To our best fiend forever, Mikey Vengeance.
Cheers, Mikey. Welcome back.
Yes.
Alrighty. And if we were traveling without our meth owl,
we
would be dead.
Thank you for listening to the We Would Be Dead podcast. Hit subscribe now to never miss an episode. Rate and review our show on iTunes. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Would Be Dead Pod. And join our Facebook group to discuss the podcast and more.
They're the Green Bay Meat Packers, and they don't have a mascot, and their fans wear foam cheese wedges on their heads. So I don't think I'd fuck with them ever.
Don't do it.
Not going to do it. No. Not going to do it.